I recently watched the animated movie from France, found on Netflix, called Sahara, whatever. Anyway, it is an animated movie about snakes. In real life, I hate snakes. I'm terrified of snakes. I can't even touch one of those tiny little pet ones at a pet store. I've tried once to get over my fear. Couldn't even touch it. It was so cold and weird. But I somehow was transfixed on this movie because I realized how very few animated snakes there are. I mean, other than in the Jungle Book, I can't really name another one off the top of my head, other than that snake that was in Robin Hood way back in the day. That was really just, you know, a steal from the Jungle Book there. Same voice actor, I think. Anyway, yeah, there are not a lot of snakes in movies, and I was watching this one, it's like, okay, I get it. They're just little faces on tails. It's weird to do much with that, but this movie impressed me because it did a lot with that, with just their like limited little body forms. They're just like a long muscle thing. It's so nasty. And I mean, the story is not interesting, not really. It's very plain, very simple as a fact. Boy snake meets girl snake. Girl snake gets kidnapped in under like 5 seconds of them meeting. He goes across the desert with her dumb stoner brother, which really is not funny. It could have been funnier. They had opportunities to make it funny, they just didn't use. And the most interesting part of the movie, I think, is the snakes dance, and somehow it's like crazy dancing where they like just dance in their middle parts and like their end of their tail, like they use for their hand, and it's just super creative how they make the snakes dance. Like there's this trippy scene during the very first dance where it was just like beautiful idea of animation, like how they just go everywhere. So it makes me realize that this movie is kind of a mix between, I think, like traditional and like 3D computer generated thing, because I think like just the pretty backgrounds were just, one-dimensional painted with some exceptions. And then you got like, the characters that are actually moving and whatnot. And maybe the sand will actually like move on top of it. But goodness, like the dancing snakes were actually really interesting. Not just the trippy scene, but at one point these two snakes have a dance off, and it's just wicked, man. It's really cool. Like they do all this stuff, and like they use their whole tails. I think they actually just made them longer in that scene to make it work, but wow. And like the little details with, just the two male snakes, how they just like take their bodies and like, carry them, and they swivel through the stuff, and their heads are really raised or they're really low. God, and they're all kinds of different widths. That part was interesting. That part I liked. It was like, so yeah, the way they make the snakes move is just so creative. And yeah, the snakes will use their little, the tips of their tail to like as hands to wipe it off or point to stuff. And that's simple, but then they use this other stuff, like how they just kind of like gather on somebody and they use it to pull or grab stuff, like just in the middle of their bodies. It's so weird but interesting. And I get why they didn't do that with Zootopia. Oh, I take that back. There was a snake in Kung Fu Panda, but she was a small part, so that doesn't count so much. But oh my goodness, like a whole movie about these strange creatures was very interesting. It was too shame that the movie wasn't more like story-wise was so blah. Animals go on a road trip. Let's see, the twist in this movie is, tourists find the snakes. The snakes really don't have much to say about humans, except for, there's that one human who's, kidnapped the female snake and the other dancing snakes. He uses a magic flute to control them and make them dance, and when he doesn't want to use them anymore, he turns them into belts and wallets. Actually, read somewheres that snakes don't actually hear things at all. They can't. They were just mesmerized by the shape of the flute because, I don't know, they just were. So it was the movement of the actual flute that got them, not the sound. I don't think snakes can actually hear music. Of course, this is a cartoon, kind of like Finding Dory, how, like, the fish will use their hands and be able to read and, find cartoon stuff like that. Let's see, in this one, no, it's more like, they give them normal eyes that, like, every other species has instead of their, like, little slit stuff, except for one exception for the bitch character. And she looks very lovely. with her like strange, she was all white and pearly and her eyes were like purple and glowy, kind of creepy. She was a pretty creepy. But now all the other characters had like, big normal puppy eyes, which was a little disappointing, but it did make them a little easier to look at for someone who hates snakes. Also, what I thought was disappointing was I like actually just froze the screen for a second to see if they had like the little tongue thing, and they didn't. They had normal tongue. And it's like, oh, well, that's kind of a not cool detail. I mean, yeah, you want to make snakes kind of friendly, but that's a cool thing about them. And I was kind of waiting for a part where somebody sticks their tongue at somebody else, and you see the little like forked tongue thing. It's like, okay, yes, make snakes more friendly, but put in the stuff people actually like about snakes. I think, in a way, this movie helped me with some of my issues with them. I mean, I'm still probably scared of real ones. Remember, I went on a swamp tour once, and I was a basket case the whole hour traveling because, the tour guide's like, oh, snakes sometimes fall on the top of the boat, so you might see them on the deck. And I wasn't scared of them being poisonous, I was just terrified of them touching me. God, just that image now. But no, this animated movie, despite being very dull and, despite not really breaking any new bounds, actually had snakes. Okay, Zootopia had lots of, safari animals and cute woodland animals, but they didn't have a lot of the weirder species. Like, Rio was all about birds, so for bird fans, it was good for that. Seeing all the different shapes and seeing how they like use their feathers and talk with their beaks and kiss with their beaks and just dance, even though it's weird because they have those tiny little feet. Like, Rio was great for bird fans. Disney is great for like cat and dog fans with all their movies. Um, like Blue Sky did a weird take on using like I don't know, Ice Age animals. They just took weird ass species like extinct creatures. They were freaky for that, but at least they were thinking outside the box. But yeah, snakes, they might be the creepier set of pair and all that, but give them a little break, okay? Not all of them are poisonous, and you don't have to love them, just appreciate them for being a unique animal. And that's what I got out of this movie. Appreciate the freaky, not disgusting, appreciate the unique animal they are. So yeah, should you see it? I mean, if you're an animation fan, then yes, watch it because it's interesting what they do with snakes and how, individual ones will carry their body in different ways. And just like how you can make like their little faces different. Just, like little character details are nice. Let's see, if you're a small child, I don't know, it depends on the kid, but maybe you'll watch it just as, you have nothing else to do. But is this the kind of movie that's fun for everybody? No, it's kind of boring. But God, respect to the snake. I'm sorry, I'm in a habit of calling them disgusting. But no, this movie was nice. This movie was very pretty to look at, and it was interesting as a non-snake fan. Okay, so yes, I think you should watch it. You don't have to, but you should. Okay, that's my opinion on Sahara. Special despite its not specialness. So yeah, subscribe.